You weren't mature. You were just forced to stop being a child before you were ready. Forced to carry weight that wasn't yours. Forced to solve problems that adults should have handled. Forced to become the parent, the caretaker, the responsible one, the strong one, the one who held everything together while your own childhood slipped through your fingers like sand. And everyone praised you for it. Everyone said you were so mature for your age, so responsible, so capable, and you learned to wear that label like armor. Like proof that you were worth something, that you had value. But what they called maturity was really just survival. Really just a child doing whatever it took to feel safe in a situation where safety was never guaranteed. And now you're an adult, and that armor has become a prison. That maturity has become a cage. And you don't know how to be anything other than the person who handles everything, who never breaks, who never needs, who never asks, because asking feels like regression. Needing feels like weakness. And weakness is the thing you learned early that you couldn't afford to be if you wanted to survive. You can't relax without feeling guilty, like every moment of rest is time stolen from responsibilities you should be handling. You don't know how to play, how to be silly, how to do anything that doesn't serve a purpose or solve a problem. You take care of everyone around you but panic when someone tries to take care of you. Because being taken care of feels wrong, feels like a trap, feels like you're giving up control. And control is the only thing that keeps you safe. You can't cry without feeling ashamed, can't admit you're struggling without feeling like a fraud, can't show vulnerability without feeling like you've failed at the one thing you're supposed to be good at, which is being strong, being capable, being the one who has it together even when you're falling apart. You're exhausted but you can't stop because stopping feels like abandoning your post. Like if you're not constantly managing, constantly fixing, constantly being responsible, everything will fall apart and it will be your fault. Just like it would have been your fault when you were 8 or 10 or 12 and someone told you that their problems were yours to solve, that their emotions were yours to manage, that their needs were more important than your childhood. Here's what actually happened. You were given a job that wasn't yours. You were assigned a role that no child should play. You were made responsible for things that should have been handled by the adults in your life. But they couldn't or wouldn't handle them, and so you stepped up, you adapted, you learned how to be what they needed instead of being allowed to be what you were, which was a child who needed protection, needed guidance, needed permission to be small and scared and unsure. But none of those things were available, so you buried them, you locked them away. You built this mature, competent persona that could handle anything, and it worked. It kept you safe, it got you through, but it also cost you something you can never get back. Which is the experience of being a child, of being cared for, without having to earn it, of making mistakes, without the stakes being survival, of existing, without the constant weight of other people's well-being resting on your small shoulders. You learned that love was conditional, that safety had to be maintained through performance, that the moment you stopped being useful, stopped being mature, stopped being strong, you would be abandoned or blamed or made to feel like you were the problem. And so you never stopped. You carried that performance into adulthood. You built your entire identity around being the person who doesn't need help, who doesn't have problems, who can handle anything. And now you're trapped in a role you didn't choose, playing a character you created to survive. And you don't know how to stop because stopping feels like dying, feels like losing yourself, feels like admitting that everything you built your worth on was just a coping mechanism, just a survival strategy, just a child doing their best in an impossible situation. The brutal truth is this: you didn't mature early, you were forced to suppress your developmental needs and pretend you didn't have them. And there's a massive difference between genuine maturity and traumatized hyper-responsibility. Genuine maturity is choosing to take care of things because you have the capacity and the desire. Traumatized hyper-responsibility is being unable to stop taking care of things because you're terrified of what happens if you do not. It's compulsive. It's driven by fear. It's not a choice. It's a reflex. And the praise you got for being mature wasn't really praise. It was people benefiting from your trauma and calling it virtue, so they didn't have to feel guilty about what they were taking from you. You weren't special for handling adult problems as a child. You were being exploited. You weren't gifted with early maturity. You were robbed of the chance to be immature, to be messy, to be taken care of, to not have all the answers, to be protected instead of being the protector. And every time someone told you how mature you were, what they were really saying was, "Thank you for not burdening me with your needs. Thank you for being easy. Thank you for not requiring me to be the adult so I don't have to." And you internalized that. You learned that your value was in your utility, that love was something you earned through service, that care was something you gave but never received. And now you're an adult who can't ask for help, can't admit weakness, can't let anyone see you struggling because you learned that struggling meant you were failing at the one job you had, which was being strong enough that nobody else had to be. So here's what you do when you realize that maturity has become your prison. When you understand that the strength everyone admires is actually the wall keeping you from real connection, from real rest, from real life. You start small. You start with one moment where you let yourself be something other than the person who has it together. One moment where you admit you're tired, you're scared, you don't know what to do. And you let someone else hold that. You let someone else be strong. You practice receiving instead of only giving. And it will feel wrong. It will feel like you're being selfish or weak or too much. Because those are the messages that got programmed into you when you were too young to question them. But you question them now. You challenge them now. You ask yourself who actually benefits from you staying in this role. Who profits from you never resting, never needing, never being anything other than capable? And the answer is everyone except you. Everyone else gets your strength, your service, your endless capacity, and you get exhaustion. You get burnout. You get a life that feels like work, like duty, like obligation. And somewhere under all of that is the child you used to be. The one who just wanted to play, who just wanted to be taken care of, who just wanted permission to not have all the answers. And that child is still there, still waiting, still hoping that someday someone will tell them they can stop now. They can rest now. They did enough. And the person who needs to tell them that is you. Because nobody else is coming. Nobody else is going to release you from this role. You have to release yourself. You have to give yourself permission to be something other than strong. You have to learn that vulnerability isn't weakness. Needing isn't failure. And asking for help isn't abandoning your post. It's just being human. Being the human you never got to be when you were forced to be more than that too soon. You grew up too fast because you didn't have a choice. Because the adults in your life failed to create a space where you could be a child. And now you're living with the consequences of that failure. With the hypervigilance, with the inability to rest, with the compulsive need to manage everything and everyone, with the prison that maturity became. But here's what they didn't tell you. Here's what you get to learn now. You can grow down, you can reclaim the parts of yourself that got buried. You can learn to play, to rest, to need, to receive, to be taken care of without feeling like you owe something in return. And it won't be easy. It won't feel natural. It will feel like breaking every rule you ever learned about how to stay safe. But those rules were written by people who needed you to be small and quiet and useful. And you're not living for them anymore. You're living for you, for the adult you are and the child you were. And both of those versions of you deserve better than a life spent performing strength you don't always feel. Carrying weight that was never yours, and being mature to the point of exhaustion. So start learning what it feels like to be light, to be cared for, to be the one who sometimes doesn't have answers, and that's okay. Because you're not here to save everyone. You're not here to hold everything together. You're here to live, actually live, not just survive with better furniture. And living means letting go of the prison, means walking away from the role, means finally giving yourself permission to grow down, to be young, to reclaim the childhood that was stolen, even if you have to do it now as an adult, building the safety you never had, giving yourself the care you never got, and becoming the person who tells that small version of you still trapped inside that they can rest. Now, they did enough, they survived. And now it's time to stop surviving and start existing in a way that doesn't require being strong every single moment. Because you've been strong enough, you've been mature enough, you've been responsible enough, and now right now you get to be enough just by being no performance required, no strength needed, just you tired and trying, and finally free to be something other than the person who always has it together. Because having it together was never the goal. The goal was always just making it through. And you did, you made it, and now you get to decide what comes next. And what comes next doesn't have to look like what came before. It doesn't have to be more weight, more responsibility, more maturity. It can be lighter, softer, more human, more real. And that's not regression, that's not failure, that's not weakness, that's healing, that's freedom. That's the life you deserved all along finally becoming possible. Not because someone gave you permission, but because you gave it to yourself.